Well, this is a depressing title. R.I.P. Rest in peace, and I hope rest means like restful and not like this is the end of Go, because I kind of like Go. Anyway, this is going to be a very interesting talk. Round of applause to Denki.
Actually, I don't have my notes, so I'm going to swing it because I had to clone. Anyway, hello everybody, thanks for coming. So I'm going to present a project of mine that I created like maybe a few years back now. It's called Rest in Peace, and it's about to make rest in peace. So in 2021, Jan Lance Taylor and Robert Griesmer created a talk about how to use generics once they actually implemented the generics in Go. And they were like, basically, I don't know if I have audio, we'll see. No. Anyway, so basically what Jan Lance Taylor, his final words were, please use generics wisely. So of course, when a figure of authority asks you to use something wisely, what do? The total opposite. And people from CrowdStrike, security company, decided, I don't know if you can read in the back, but basically they were like created a channel on the Discord. And it was creative usage of generics contest submission. Submit your worst implementation of generics in Go. Basically, everything that Jens Taylor told us not to do. So I did a thing I'm pretty proud. My let's say, to make the world a worse place, was an async await in Go, because who needs Go routines and channels anyway? Some people even did some try-catch. If you're missing those good things from other languages. I got a plush because, when you do something, the world gives you something back. It's called karma. Just for record, I listed everything that was attempted. We had monads and stuff like that. Anyway, but out of all of this, I created something that I thought was actually useful, use of generics. Maybe not the one that was supposed to be, because the current implementation is not optimized for this use case. But I thought it was nice anyway. So about me, I'm Tanguy. I'm from France. I worked 17 years in IT, and I'm also CEO of HTMX. Okay, one person knows about HTMX. Anyway, so as you will see from this video, we have sound now. Anyway, I'm ready to make anything for money, so I'm a freelancer. Specialized in Go since 2015, worked in normal consulting before that. I worked mostly on classic RESTful APIs, backends, and I've done some blockchains. And I stopped freelancing for about a year to work at Dagger. You should check them out. I think what they're doing is pretty cool. It's CI/CD as code. And I'm also very interested in pushing Go in more, areas than just microservices and web backends, so GUI, game engines and stuff like that. And the next talk will be about GUI, so I'll advise you to check it out. So now, can anyone recognize this? Basically, it's thank you. Basically, it's the HTTP handler code that anybody does. You might even have a validation step if you're fancy. And but we do all of this code. In the end, we decode the JSON and we re-encode the JSON for the response. But all of this is just for this line right here. For just this line, we do all of these gymnastics. So that's a lot of code. And let's say we had another handler to deal with another type in our API. And now we do basically copy-paste all of that previous code and change the code here, here, and there. Mais ou menos, whatever. Anyway, and so again, I see like a lot and a lot and a lot of duplication. And for me, like duplication, it's just something we should try to avoid as much as possible. There are a few rules about the rules of 2 or 3, which I think is good. But when you create like a big API, you have more than 2 or 3 copies of that code. So you can have a solution and abstract the handler and create like a very unsafe type to basically get whatever you want in it. You can make it work, but then you call your backend, but you have to deal a lot in the backend. And then the backend will deal with a lot of type casting everywhere, and it can fail many times, so you need to do a lot of error handling. And here I put like basically what we should do to convert from one type to another and make sure it works. And it's all of this. All of this is, I don't know if I have the thing. Yeah. So basically all of this is for 2 types, for a structure with 2 fields, A and B. And for all of that, we have all of this boilerplate that basically take the dynamic code, transform it into a type safe that you can actually use in your backend. But that's, again, a lot of code. And then the real backend can be easy once you have the right types, but we had to do all the way to here to get to be able to just call a simple backend. And by the way, if your backend is just that and you can make money out of it, go for it. So, as I said, a lot of runtime, reflect boilerplate to get back to types, and potential reuse of the handler, but potential. Not so sure about it. So if finally we had a solution, thanks to Go 118, we have the generics. And so that's when this IDE popped out. So the pro about generics, we have better type safety, we have better performance than empty interface, and as a wise person said, empty interface means nothing. And for this user, mistype. For this use case, for my use case, we don't have better performance. There's an article from Vicent Marty that talk about this in depth. But somebody told me maybe it has been improved since, so maybe it's deprecated, I don't know. And in general, it's more readable code for the users. And it allows more like don't repeat yourself all over your code base. So, for example, without generics, we have this. We just want to check the minimum between X and Y. And can anyone tell me what it prints? Okay, not very interactive. Okay. Well, actually, it doesn't print. It doesn't even compile because mat.min accepts only float 64. So you just have to do this. And I don't know about you, but I hate it. So no, I do it disgruntledly, whatever. Not my native language, sorry. And with generics, we have this function, which is way better Doesn't look like it, but it's way better. So the library code is not that great to read, that's for sure. But you can get used to it. And so you compare the previous one and this, like, yeah, it's not, one reads better. But the user code, on the user code, it's really way better. You don't have to cast those everywhere, so it makes for a better code base. So what about rest in peace? Okay, I'm checking. Okay. So rest in peace, the idea is to basically use generics to avoid all this HTTP boilerplate that are presented. For example, here we have some user code. We just wrap strings.toUpper in a function which is like an input-output, I don't even remember the name. But basically it takes like a context, it takes a type, returns another type, and an error. And as long as your function respects this interface, you're good, and you can just wrap it, send it to the rip.handle, and you indicate the method, then you indicate, you call this function, and you have like route options. And then you can just call curl on uppercase, and it will just put your input into uppercase. Magically, you don't have to handle any HTTP about that. Library code, less readable, I will admit. So we have the type input-output func, which is like the function that needs to be respected, to be used. Then in the handle, which takes the input, takes an output, and put the method for this route, and then you can just pass it like that. But this was fun to do. It was my first experiment, but I wanted really to go a little bit further because I do a lot of REST backend, so there are a lot of routes to deal with. For resources, we need to create, delete, update them, etc. So I wanted to automate that as well. So rest in peace. So the key concept of REST services is the notion of resource. It's accessible via an URI, an action on the resource URI via HTTP methods. I mean, this is one implementation about REST. Normally, it doesn't have to be HTTP, but anyway. And the current state is sent back through the same system, which in this case would be HTTP. So on the user code, I create like a user provider, like an entity provider. I pass it to here. I decided this is the path I want. And here I just take the default route options. And thanks to that, we'll see what it will give us. But so this user provider needs to implement this interface. Okay? So create, get, update, delete, list all. I will update that because list all is a little bit too much. I need to handle pagination and stuff like that. It's not there yet. But once you implement that on your code, you can just use your code. You don't have to deal with any HTTP whatsoever. And you pass it to this function. Then you have a whole /user with all the bells and whistle, which gives you all of this. You can create the entity, you can get the entity, you can update the entity, delete, list. And I recently added fields. So now, because you can use patch, basically to update just part of your entity, but the protocol is not defined. So you have to define your own like way of doing patch. Is it like text diffs or something like that? And it's a little bit quirky. So I decided I found somebody talking about a pattern which I liked, which is basically you take the whole path to the field, and then you can just put and get from it. And so that's how you update part of your resource. And so you have your entity and the entity provider. Thanks to type inference that improved, you don't even have to pass that. You can just pass directly. You don't have to put the square brackets and put those types. So you pass the URL, the entity provider, and the route options, and here you go. You're good to go. What you get, creation of CRUD HTTP endpoints, content negotiation for many encodings. Right now we have JSON, XML, protobuf, message pack, HTML forms. We have automated resource web pages that can edit the resource. Right now it's very nice UI. You see, this is not my major. And harmonious way of handling common scenarios. And because like I've worked on many projects, and maybe because duplication, you do it once and then you forgot you need to update all those boilerplates you've done, so then you forget, and then like the behavior between all your endpoints are not really coherent. So that makes a good thing, I think. For example, this is just an implementation of adding a new encoding to this platform. That's the whole code to add the JSON encoding on Rest in Peace. So you just, I have like a facility like the wrap codec. I use a JSON new encoder from the standard lib, JSON new decoder, then I define the MIME types. That's it. You're good to go. Most of the implementation are like that. So RIPs to HTTP, what an ORM is to SQL. Me. But I know that, how many of you hate ORM? Just to see if, okay, you might hate me as well. Anyway, no, but seriously, I hope it will help you create services more easily, because I have a pain of repeating all this code all the time. So here's a QR code. Like, subscribe, click the back icon, something like that. Anyway. And here's a demo. Last time I did live code, it was awful, so now I have a video. Amazing. So I just run the server, and so all the logs that will print in yellow are from the servers. There is one that is from the logging handler, that is the logging middleware, and the other one is from the backend code that we just log for ourselves. So here I just get the list of users. There is only one, called Jean. So here we see the backend. Whoop, no, sorry. Anyway, we'll check on the next one. So now we're going to create a new one named Cam. Are you stopping, please? Thank you. I'm sorry. All right, okay. Did I check this video? Maybe not. Okay, so maybe it will take a little longer. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's karma. Are you serious? Okay. Okay. But also there was no output, so we just saved this new user. So here is the log from the backend, and this is the middleware, the logging middleware, which is just Apache log style. Then I list again to just confirm that we have a new user in our list. Then we just get one user, and we decide to display as XML, because why not live in the past? Because on each endpoint you can have multiple encodings based on whatever I do content negotiation. So if the browser or whatever client asks for and I have it, I will give it to you. That's your problem if you want XML anyway. So here we're going to just modify the first users and call him Philippe instead of Jean. So here it is. Check, it's still Philippe. Yeah, good. All right. Now I just want the field. So I just want the name of this entity. and so it just returns it as a JSON string in green. Now I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, the email address got thrown in the trash because I did a full put on the entity and didn't specify the email address. So I'm going to just modify this field to add to modify the address. So now I do a put just on the field, on the email address field, and now I'm going to check again that it's correct. And here now we have a correct email address and correct name. Then I delete, and then I will just check that we rightfully so deleted, and there is only one user left in the thing. So that's what you get. Oh, sorry, it switched this as well. Yep, okay. So that's what you get with just like this one line of handle entities and the whole backend implementation, of course. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. On route option, it's something that I added since I did this talk in GoLab. So now each route can have their own set of handled encodings and middlewares. So that's pretty nice because before it was like a global state. Not good. Okay, and for this to implement that, for example, we need the entity, which is just like the user struct, and we implement those two method, ID string, which return the ID as a string because our ID is an int. And the other way around, we need to convert from an int to a string. So if you have a better design, come talk to me, because I'm not very satisfied with this, but it is what it is, and it works pretty well. Implementation is quite simple. And then on the entity provider, so on this example, it's just like a map, memory map, and I just present you the update. So this is just the backend you have to write. I put blogging because why not? I get my user from the memory, and then I just update it, and that's it. So that's the code you have to create. So basically, I tried, with the memory map, it's 100 lines of code for this, for all those method and implementations. I did in SQL, it was 110, something like that. So then you really reduce to just that. So for the future, I have time. Yeah, maybe I will have time for another thing, but I'm going to just finish that. So for the future, I would like to do nested resources, but I've heard even Django REST API doesn't do nested resources, so maybe not. I want to add pagination. I want to add OpenAPI auto-generation, so then you could generate whatever client for your system directly. I would love even more 8OS, I don't know how to pronounce that, but to have links and stuff so the API is self-discoverable, I guess, even more than OpenAPI. And I would like to overly improve the API. So yes, since last time, I did the route options, the fields. I added protobuf during my way back from Italy. And I would love to use log and slug, better error handling, and customization of HTML templates because you will see. And I would love also to generate GUI apps for that directly so you don't have to also bother that. Of course, simple GUI apps. So let me check if I can do this. Yes, no, yes. Okay, so yeah, this is my beautiful HTML UI skills. So we have the user Jean. For example, we decide to call it, I don't know, Jean-Marc, all right? And we can add a new person, see, very well designed from the 90s, as vintage as me. Let's add Mark here, all right? Okay, we get back there, then we have our full list, and we can just delete. All this is thanks to HTMX, which is, you should check it out, it's pretty cool. Anyway, so this is the thing. I wish we could update those by what you want, actually. And then the last demo I have is I play with my daughters a game called GoCraft, which is simple implementation of Minecraft in Go. And to bother them, I was like, how about I use my thing and see how it's usable, and just be able to create blocks in the middle of their construction to annoy them, or I can just delete and yeah. So for this, I'm just going to show the code. I have 4 last minutes. So I created a block type, which the ID will be the coordinates XYZ. So my ID is maybe, yeah, I guess I can, yeah. You can still see? Yeah? Okay. So I split by X. So the ID is basically, if I show this, it's like that. I'm sorry. So I just say like the coordinates in XYZ as the ID, and then I just have to marshal and unmarshal this. And then in the game, I didn't implement get, I just implemented create. I get the coordinates, I create in the right format for the game. And then I update the block, dirty block. So this is really code just about the game. I'm not doing any HTTP in there. And here the delete, the same. It's just like code about this specific Go game. And that's it. And it works. Yeah, so if you're excited to use it, talk about it or something, go talk to me. I have a bow tie. You should recognize me. And so I would love to talk about it. If you have like design ideas and stuff, I'm really up to it because I think we could improve it and discuss about it, contribute anything. All right, and I want to thank the Go team for the generics. Without that, it couldn't have been possible. The Go Strasbourg meetup, because they had to suffer through my first iterations of crappy slides. The logo from a fellow Strasbourg gopher. You for coming here. You online, I don't know where is the camera, I guess there. Anyway, and FOSDEM and the Go Dev organizer, because like you're really top. And HTMX for the memes, of course.
Round of applause.